Top of the day to you, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping that your Father's Day is super awesome. I was thinking about it, and some of the memorabilia for me on a personal level looks like what we see here. This one came in last year. Whoops, sorry, bumped the camera. So I'm just the okayest dad, so that's pretty sweet right there. Haven't actually worn any of these things. Yeah, probably not really worthy necessarily, especially of that one right there. Possibly this one. But I thought I air stuff late a lot. I could tag this in to a saw-off session or something down the road, whatever. And so here you go. My wish is for everybody out there that's a father, that your day is awesome, that your kids remember to give you a call, or if you're kind of in that raising a family stage, that it's just an enjoyable experience for you on this Father's Day. So wherever you might be on his earth, his round earth, on his day, have a blessed one. Okay, so we're back at it here now, and we're actually starting to warm up, and we're going to do a little taste test comparison in the build sequence, if you will. And we're running my 346xp. I forgot to mention earlier it has a Meteor brand cylinder assembly. I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I thought, if it grenades, then what the heck. It's not something different than what I've done in the past necessarily, but it's a takeaway from like the quote-unquote torque tweak, if you will. It's a mid-range tune. I don't particularly like the way they've designed the transfer ports in that thing on a personal level, however, so there's that aspect of it. And I figured I can do the mid-range tune in the beginning and see what we get, and then I'm going to do something later on, and we're going to just do a rev tune. The video we watched of this thing melting down, I don't know, a couple years ago now, whatever it was, maybe 3, I don't even know. But anyway, that cylinder, I guess it was a stock assembly, but it had like a problem in it that I noticed. Sometimes you don't see the problems until you start getting rid of material. There'll be casting flaws that are actually hidden, similar to what you see in a concrete wall. Sometimes you get inside there and it's got an air pocket essentially. And so that cylinder had a flaw, and we ran it and nuked it. And anyway, kind of segued off into nostalgia, I guess, if you will. But we're going to run it against the 261. I'm sure you can see the Bling setup poking out of the back of the cylinder cover. We applied a K&N air filter to this saw per request of the owner, and now we're going to give it a second run against the 346. I think that when I ran these two before, that the 346 was winning, but the chain is not set up for these little saws. It's pulling out chunks. I was using it on a much larger displacement saw the last time I was running it, I guess, and so it's just pulling chunks. We'll take a look at that as I remember in the next session. So anyway, kind of have the 346 warmed up. We're going to run that one now. We'll take a pause while I do the wardrobe change and then continue. Alright, so I'm running out of logs, so I'm trying to be greedy, I guess, and I cut out, unfortunately, so we're getting pretty close to the end of this process, unfortunately. I think I didn't mention 12.2 ready to roll, 11.2 ready to roll. I built those dogs for that thing because it came with just one outside one or whatever, one of the small ones that they come with, and so those might be a little excessive for that little saw. I don't know. If you're going to try to run a 24 on it or something, maybe. I like my dogs, essentially, and that's a 20-year-old saw. It's a 2000 vintage. Completely old technology. I would imagine that if you got rid of, like, the buildup, since this saw is brand new with no buildup, and you clean it up nicely, got rid of all the sawdust and grease and oil hanging around on that thing, and went to a half wrap version set of handlebars, it'd probably weigh, I don't know, probably not a half pound less, but I bet it'd be 4 or 5 ounces less. And so they're not that far off in weight, and super awesomely new technology with the cylinder cover that's one piece. kind of what Husqvarna has been doing for years. I know in between the cylinder and the card box, they have a little teeny tiny weightless little piece of plastic in there, essentially, with a little rubber sealing surface. But anyway, conceptually, they've really thought about dumping the weight off these new saws, and it's less than a pound lighter than the 20-year-old saw. So now we're going to do the dismount, and we'll be rolling with the 261 here in a minute. I mentioned the bucking spikes on those, on that saw. They're pretty good size. First run with the K&N, I have no idea how it's going to fare, in all honesty. Again, the chain's not really awesome for what we're doing here. We're pulling chunks out of this operation like we had a bigger CC saw, so yeah, it's giving it a run for its money for sure. So let us see how this works out. Okay, she seems like she's running pretty good at this point. Normally aspirated, got flow 2.0 essentially, so like I said, I'll be curious to check the time runs out myself and see how they do. We're getting really close to the end of that particular chunk, and it's going to actually probably be a little bit more hard this last couple sessions and the next one coming up, but we're going to apply the torque tweak to the 261, and then we're going to run her again and just see how it does. Hopefully I can get that handled here shortly. So thanks for watching this session. 20-year-old 346, still holding its own against the newest kid on the block at this point. Well, in the other brand, I guess, obviously. So thanks for watching this session. Have a blessed day wherever you might be on God's green earth.